All right, well, is everybody ready?
Whenever you are.
Wait till you taste one, dearie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joey, and I am 1/5 of Poison Apple Podcast, and I am joined by David
Hey, howdy, hey.
and Gavin
How's it going?
and Hannah
Hi, beautiful humans.
and Jenny.
Hey, y'all.
It is officially our first episode. I probably should have got us in the zone a little bit more to understand what we were doing here, but I panicked and just went for it. So, I guess what we should do is just introduce the podcast. So, us five came together a couple weeks ago to decide that we're going to do a podcast where we're going to watch every single Disney animated movie and talk about it. So, obviously, our first episode is going to be on Snow White because that's the first movie. You guys excited for that?
So ready.
Super excited.
It's been forever, so I'm thrilled.
Yeah. So how it's going to work is we're going to watch the movies in order. We're going to watch Walt Disney Animation Studio feature films and Pixar only to start. And that's like 94 movies-ish. So that's going to be like a year and a half. And then we'll decide what we're doing after that. Most likely go back to the non-official movies like Goofy Movie, Nightmare, Pocahontas 2.
Yeah, we don't fear commitment here.
Absolutely not.
We don't fear sequels here.
No.
So with that, I guess we'll just talk about our relationship with Disney animated movies. Who wants to go first? And I guess introduce yourself while you do it.
I will. I grew up watching Disney movies. My very first memory that I can think of, and this is no joke, is my parents. We would do 12-hour car rides to Colorado. That was our family vacation. And my parents would remove the captain's chairs from the minivan and create pallets for however unsafe it may be. This was the 90s and early 2000s, so it really doesn't matter. Um, but they would create pallets on the floor for us because we would start driving at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they would put one of those little TVs with the built-in VCR spaces in between the two driver and passenger seat on the console. And we would just rotate through our collection of Disney movies. And so my earliest memory has to do with Disney movies.
So that's
so cute.
that's amazing. I remember taking road trips with my family and sleeping in the bed of an SUV. I would never in a million years put my son in the bed of our SUV ever. Is that happening?
It's one of my fondest memories, but also looking back on it, I'm like, oof,
Right?
big yikes.
Also, bad hosting on my part. We should probably introduce ourselves first. So, Gavin, since you talked already, go ahead. Tell the folks about you a little bit.
Let's see. My name's Gavin, obviously. I have a 6-year-old daughter, just turned 6. Married, happily married. It's been an amazing year. 2024 was an amazing year. Excited to get started in 2025. My Disney journey started when I was 7 years old, and then kind of reignited in 2021, and then really took hold when I took my daughter this past June and saw it through her eyes, and that got me hooked. So been doing content creation now for a little over 2 months, and excited to be a part of the community. Made some amazing friends. Excited to continue doing it, and excited to be here doing this. I never thought this was possible. This would be possible. So
Absolutely. And go follow him at Dapper Disney Dad, I believe. He'll correct me if I'm wrong there.
at the Dapper Disney Dad, the Dapper Disney.
All right, who wants to go next? Introduce yourself. Tell us how you love Disney animated movies. Maybe you don't.
I'll go next. So, my relationship with Disney movies, to start off, well, my name's Jenny, and we had lots of the VHS tapes, and I specifically remember watching The Little Mermaid over and over as a little kid because If you can't tell, I have long red hair, and so I thought that I was also a mermaid. And so I really loved that one, but there were tons that I would just watch on repeat. And I didn't actually get to go to Disney World for the first time until I was 19. And during that trip to Disney World, I ended up speaking with a cast member who found out that I was in college, and she asked me if I had heard about the Disney College program. I had not, and so I went home, looked it up, applied, and ended up being a Disney cast member 6 months later. And now I am married to another former Disney cast member, and everything in our house is Disney. As you can tell behind me, I collect lounge flies. He has his own collection, so we're very much still into Disney. Go to Disney as often as possible, and excited to be here and be part of this podcast.
I did not know that Big Rob had a collection of his own. I'm going to need to see that.
Oh yeah, it's our house is known as like the museum. People say we need charge admission to come in here.
Did you want to talk about Disney movies or no?
I think I would just cover just kind of like the relationship that I had with it of
That's
just like
right.
when I was younger.
Yeah, you
and
said
yeah,
something about Ariel. My bad. That's my bad.
No,
Hannah or
you're good.
David, who's next?
After you.
After me? Okay.
Hmm.
So my name is Hannah. I've been in Florida my whole life. And after recently talking to the parents, I realized that I first started going to Disney when I was anywhere from a month to 3 months old.
Wow.
And I went on a trip with my parents. And it was necessary that I go at the time. And I think I went all really growing up as a kid. I took a break in like my later teen years, and then I started going again in 2021. And I am 27. I am married, and my husband is law enforcement. And I'm just a Disney adult that's also Floridians. Where people move here, I've been doing it my whole life. Yeah.
At 27, she is the baby of the podcast, in case anyone was wondering.
And the only one in Florida, right?
The only one in Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, the only one in
Although,
Florida.
They're all warm weather states. I'm stuck up here in Michigan suffering through this winter. Although, didn't Florida just hit under 20 today or coming up?
Soon.
Gross.
Yeah.
Hannah, I'm guessing you don't have much of a relationship with the movies because you said you're not a TV person.
Nope. So this is gonna be fun.
This is going to be an interesting journey for you. David, you're up.
All right, cool. So I'm David, and as I am 1/5 of the Poison Apple podcast, I am actually 1/4 of the Mickey and Mandy team. Mickey and Mandy is a small shop. Me and my family run it. We make bags, signs, shirts, all sorts of handmade stuff. And I primarily do the TikTok part of it. And I've been doing the TikTok account for maybe, I was thinking about it earlier. I think it's been like pushing maybe 2 or 3 years now. And just been having an absolute blast with it. I've been going to Disney World. I think I'm trying to remember. It was either right as Animal Kingdom was opening or even right before Animal Kingdom opened. So for a hefty minute, I've been going to the Disney parks. We've been going pretty consistently, once, sometimes twice a year. Been going a little bit more seriously recently, just getting content for Instagram and for TikTok and for all that other fun stuff. And we have an absolute blast every single time. Just these quick in and out weekend trips. And as much as the Disney parks have been a part of my life, Disney movies are just as big a part of that. I didn't watch them on the floor of vehicles on road trips, to be sure, but I had my regular rotation. I mean, anything from Lion King to Sleeping Beauty to Dinosaur, I watched it so many times. And then I would say, like, in my teens, I switched more to like Pixar. And then I think it was around like 2020, 2021 when I was finally just I'm just going to embrace the whole Disney adult mindset, all the movies, all the parks, everything.
All right. So my name is Joey, as I said. About to be 30 this year. That's crazy. Married, have a kid. I went to Disney for the first time in 2023 for my son's first birthday and was hooked ever since. I had never gone before. My parents went before I was born, and I always was like, why haven't you gone back? But I had to take myself. As for the movies go, obviously I had a VHS collection, which you all saw in the trailer announcement for this podcast. I still have it in a box in the garage. They're in rough shape. And I remember, like, when I think Disney, the first movies that come to mind is Lion King, Fox and the Hound. Those are all the ones that I watched when I was a kid. So, but as I got older, I stopped liking Disney, probably because I thought I was too cool for it. And I didn't really come back to it till around Tangled, because my sister moved back in and my niece was watching Tangled a lot, Frozen a lot. And then when they moved out, I moved away from it again until Inside Out came out. For some reason, I wanted to see that in the theaters, saw it, absolutely loved it. Then Moana came out, saw that, fell in love with Moana, and have just been watching all the Disney movies ever since. And this podcast is my baby. This is my brainchild. It was my idea that I came up with. So it's just Disney movies is what I am. All these other folks here are more so the parks, I would imagine. Is that wrong in saying that?
I mean,
I'm pretty 50-50.
Yeah, my education is film, so Disney
That's true.
film is the backbone for my love for Disney. But the Disney parks are what I enjoy now that I have adult money to play with.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I was calling myself a
That.
Disney adult before I had even been to the parks, because that's how much I love the movies. So
Yeah.
I am over the moon ready for this. So with that, I guess we will see who is the biggest Disney fan by guessing who we think has the longest Disney music playlist. I'm going to assume that Jenny doesn't have a playlist, like she said, so she probably has the least, but then Hannah's probably next. I thought I had a pretty good shot, but then I remembered how much of the Disney parks music David listens to, so I'm actually going to say that I think David has the longest playlist.
I was going to guess either David or Joey had the longest.
I imagine with movies it'll end up being Joey.
I think it's Joey.
What do you think?
I think
Hannah?
it's Joey.
There's a lot on there.
All right, so Hannah, how long is yours?
Mine is an hour and 23 minutes.
All right. Gavin?
Just
34 minutes.
34 minutes?
If I include something in a playlist, it's something that I know is going to have longevity and is going to outlive any transitioning music tastes, because I am not the kind of person that goes and remakes playlists. I just find the songs that I like and then listen to what comes next. And so if it makes the list, it just means that I really like that song and I will always like that song. And I think about that before adding it to my list.
So I have a playlist that has every single Disney song on it in case I want to listen to every single Disney song. And then I have a Disney playlist that is just the ones that I like. So I'm going off of the ones that I like. And it's a lot more than 34 minutes.
So you guys are making me like question things about my own playlist. Like I need to go through and like, do I actually like this song? Does this need to be on the playlist? If I'm hearing an hour and 34 minutes and things like that.
So do you want to say yours, Dave, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go. My Disney movie music one, the one that I have on Spotify, is 6 hours 30 minutes.
oh,
Yeah, it's not me. Beat me.
Mine is 6 hours and 13 minutes.
my God.
Oh. Jenny's like, mine's 10 hours. Beat that.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
See, and my Disney Parks one that I was texting you guys about earlier, that one is definitely cheating because it's like Disney Park audio loops, which some of those play for an hour. There's one for the Contemporary Resort that plays for like 3 hours, but that one is probably bordering at like 24 plus hours worth
Wow.
of Disney Parks music. It's intense, but it's my baby.
I listen to
And
my
I
Disney playlist on a daily, so I listen to all these songs all the time, and I don't skip often.
And it's not that I don't listen to Disney music. I just don't. I just haven't like personally created a playlist of just Disney music. So
Yeah.
like I either like have a playlist that has Disney music mixed in, but it's also other music, or I find like other people's Disney playlists and play theirs. So that's why. But I do listen to
Yeah.
lots of Disney music.
That's fair. I used to listen to it on YouTube before I got a Spotify account. I just went on the Disney playlist that someone created on there. So with that, I guess we'll go to our favorite Disney movie. David, what is your favorite Disney movie? Animated Disney movie.
My favorite Disney animated movie, I'm gonna have to give it to Lion King. That was one I watched it at my house. I watched it at my grandma's house. Both VHSs were well loved. The music, the animation. At this point in my adult life, I watch it whenever I need a good cry. So it checks all the boxes.
Gavin?
Mine's not one that we're going to at least initially talk about on here, but a Goofy movie. And I grew up. I mentioned the TV in the console. Uh, on the console, 12-hour car ride to Colorado. Probably 8 of that was taken up by a Goofy movie. Every single trip, just on repeat. I think so much so that my brother has like subconsciously blocked out those memories of watching that movie because we watched it again on Thanksgiving break, and he was like, "I never remember seeing this movie," and I was like, "You literally were sitting next to me every single, you know." But it was just one that I don't know what it was that spoke to me, that connected with me. Um, but I've always loved that movie. If we're to name one that we're going to be reviewing, at least in the first 94 weeks, it'd go to Mulan.
Wouldn't have guessed that. Milan's great. Hannah?
Tarzan.
Tarzan.
Always and forever. Tarzan.
Tarzan
Everything
is
about
fantastic.
it.
Banger
Everything about it.
soundtrack.
I was
Oh
about to
my
say
gosh, yes.
best
Yeah.
soundtrack.
I love it so much. I think it's the first Disney movie I really remember. One we're not doing also would be Little Mermaid 2. I love it. It's not my favorite, but it's one of the first ones I did watch. And my niece is actually named after it. But Tarzan, for me, I related to it, especially when I was younger and especially now. So always and forever Tarzan.
Your niece's name is Little Mermaid 2?
Yeah, Melody.
How about you, Jimmy?
The sub one, it's like Return to the Sea. That like
So my number one favorite is The Little Mermaid, because of my connection to it when I was little. But I also love Tarzan, so I had written down The Little Mermaid and Tarzan.
Awesome. So when I think of my favorite Disney movie, I don't really know it because, I mean, this is kind of to give a little bit backstory on why I started wanting to do this type of a podcast, is because I have no idea who my favorite character is and I have no idea what my favorite movie is. So this is kind of an experiment to figure that out. But like I said during my introduction, when I think Disney, I think Lion King. So that cover comes to mind immediately. So that's what I'm saying here. But Princess and the Frog is growing rapidly. The love for that movie just continues to grow. And that one
such a good one.
It.
Well, if you ever want to come live it and have some gumbo and jambalaya and beignets, you come see me.
Another fun fact, though, real quick, my other niece is named after Princess and the Frog, where Lottie says to Tiana, "You look as sweet as a magnolia in May," and my other niece is Magnolia, so it's
Nice.
Magnolia and Melody.
That's adorable.
Love it.
So with that, everyone's favorite Pixar movie, David.
Toy Story 2, no contest. That was another one that the VHS was well loved. The Buzz Lightyear collection grew, and to this day, like that's one of those ones that I know every line of it verbatim.
Nice, Gavin.
That would have been mine if it hadn't been for Inside Out 2.
Mm.
Um, Inside Out 2, with the introduction of anxiety, uh, mental health is a big part of my life. I speak on that in my account. Um, and that movie was just so touching and so well done. And I think tackled that issue really well.
Yeah.
Um, and so that just was one of those that, like, I remember watching it and standing up going, that's my new Pixar film, and just kind of like walked out the room. Like it was sealed at that point. So Inside Out too.
Yeah, Inside Out 2 triggered a reaction from me in the theater. It was insane. Like I couldn't help but I had a panic attack along with Riley. It was just so well. And we left the theater and I was still having it and my wife was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I do not know." That movie, it triggered something.
An emotional connection.
Yeah.
All right, Hannah, what's yours?
Wally, 100%. I know there's not a lot of words in Wally, but I think it speaks volumes, and I love it.
Yep. And Wally's been out for what, 9 years now, and we're still littering. Jenny?
So mine is Up. I have always just loved that movie. And then my second favorite, I would probably say, is Monsters, Inc. Both of those are very high up there for me.
I feel that. My favorite
Monsters
Pixar,
Inc.'s like top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite Pixar movie is my favorite all-time movie, not just animated, not just Disney, just in all movies, and it is Ratatouille.
Oh,
that's a real good one.
So
yeah.
much. I just, for some reason, I love Paris and I love cooking. I hate cooking in real life. I don't know if that's the reason why I love cooking shows and movies, but just for some reason, like there's a movie with Bradley Cooper. What is it called? Chef, I think.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
So there's just something about Paris and cooking. And Patton Oswalt,
It's a good
great. So
As does say Patton Oswalt, yeah.
is my favorite of all time. So,
Love that.
With that, we'll go into favorite character. David?
Sticking with the Toy Story 2, I'm gonna say my favorite is Buzz Lightyear.
That's fair.
The video, I had all the video games, all the toys. It was a very big part of my childhood.
Gavin?
Goofy.
All right.
Goofy will always be my favorite character. Anytime I'm in the parks, I seek him out. At least to see him. I don't have to get a picture or anything like that. I just gotta like make eye contact with the goof, you know.
He visits.
But yeah,
too.
Yeah, I have always. He was the very first like plush stuffed animal that my parents ever gave me, and I had him until I was like, I don't even know, for a long time. Well loved, as David would say. Yeah, so it's Goofy for sure.
Wonderful. Hannah?
Okay, well, first off, I think it's hilarious that he called it the goof. I think that's so cute. But my favorite all-time Disney character, Tarzan. I'm keeping it consistent. It's Tarzan.
All right. That's respectable. Jenny?
Mine is Donald Duck. I
Oh.
love him and just his attitude, and especially if I get to like meet him in the parks, and just like the interactions are always so fun. I just love his character and everything that he's in. He's always so fun and just kind of like comedic relief. So I think he's great.
That's a good pick. Like I said, I don't really know who my favorite character is. That's part of the reason I'm doing this, because I'm going to be ranking every character from every movie as we watch them. and then
That's commitment.
There'll be a number one at the end of it. So in a year and a half, come back to know my favorite. But from when I started this before, Winnie the Pooh was in first place, and I did not see Winnie the Pooh being overtaken because Winnie is just incredible. But Donald Duck's great. But Winnie's number one for now. We'll see what happens.
That's a solid pick.
It is.
So with that, we will go on to the most overrated Disney movie. This one's going to be interesting. David?
I got a feeling this is when hot takes are going to be coming into play here. I actually had to go back to our Beyond the Castle episode, Joey, to remember what my answers were for these questions. And honestly, I still agree with them. My most overrated movie, I'm going to have to give it to Frozen. I know it's grown into a very well-loved franchise, but specifically that first one, I feel like it just blew up very quickly, and it just became everywhere. It was a little much. The second one is super good. I love the second one, but the first one was just always in your face.
All right. Gavin?
Mine's Pixar, but A Bug's Life. That's I know, but that was one where I have never asked to leave a movie theater when I was a kid, except for A Bug's Life. And that is the only memory I have of A Bug's Life until I recently rewatched it and was like, I enjoyed the character interactions. Like, I thought that was really well done. But just the idea of it and like the story, I just couldn't, like, I didn't really have sympathy for Flick. I didn't really have sympathy for, any of the characters. Like, I had trouble connecting with that movie.
Yeah, so that's
But it had a high critic score. It had a high audience score. It's well loved. Yeah, A Bug's Life to me is the most overrated.
So you bring up the critics, which makes sense, but to me, nobody really talks about Bug's Life, and it's not in the parks anywhere, except for It's Tough to Be a Bug, which is going away. So it's not, I don't think it's highly rated at all. So for you to think that it's overrated means that you rate it real low.
Yeah. Yeah. The hate that the Grinch got when we did the practice recording, A Bug's Life.
Oh, jeez. Well, because I just rewatched A Bug's Life a day or two ago, and I'm like, yeah, no, this still holds up. I really like this. The exact opposite reaction.
See, and I hoped that would have been my answer, because my daughter is really into it, and so she watches it. And it was one day I just sat down and watched it with her, rather than being like up and about and doing, chores or whatever around the house. But it was just like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I watched it recently too, for whatever reason, and my son made me turn it off. He was scared of it, which is understandable. Hopper is terrifying.
Wait till it gets a load of It's Tough to Be a Bug. I mean, that's...
All right, Hannah, what say you? Overrated Disney movie.
I'm going with David, Frozen.
Interesting.
Wow.
Jen's over here nodding, so I'm assuming that's going to be her answer too.
Sure is.
Wow.
Whoa.
There are dozens of us.
Okay, so question about that though, is that a criticism of the film, or is that a result of how in your face it was?
No, it's not a criticism of the film at all. I thought that it was a great film, and I also loved the second one, which is surprising because I typically don't always love the sequels, but I thought they did a fantastic job with that sequel. It was, for me, the reason it was overrated, when it came out, is literally 2 months before I started working at Disney World as a cast member.
That'll do it.
And so it got burned on me very quickly because every single little girl was Elsa. All of the merch was Frozen. Everyone was singing Let It Go. It was very, like, as much as it was in your face sitting at home, I was in the parks in Magic Kingdom when that came out. So it it's taken a long time for me to actually go back and like it again, because now I have kind of come back and not so much you know, I do like the movie. It was just very overrated in my opinion.
I feel
So
like
much hype that almost didn't live up to the hype.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like Frozen has come down from that pedestal, and I actually feel like Moana has overtaken it as the most popular.
I would
I
almost
can see
argue
that.
maybe Encanto has taken
Encanto's
that pedestal
crazy.
more than Moana has.
Did you see how
Yeah.
Moana was the number one? What was it? Number one or number one or number two most streamed movie of 2023?
Oh, was it?
Oh, Moana 2 outperformed. What was it that it outperformed Wicked when it
Mm-hmm.
opened?
It has
So
almost 900 million worldwide. Wicked only has 700 worldwide.
yeah, yeah.
And
We're going
that
to
was
lose a
a
lot
put
of our
together
viewership
movie.
if we start bashing Wicked right now. So let's.
Shaking my head like,
So I couldn't decide between two, so I'm just going to say both. Most overrated Disney movie, Fantasia or Bambi? Fantasia isn't even highly rated, but so many people talk about how beautiful of a film it is, but it is so boring, and we'll get into that
I'm
sooner
so
rather than
excited
later.
for us to talk about that one.
And Bambi, oh my goodness, I don't ever want to watch Bambi again, but we have to, so we'll get to that when we get to that. So underrated movie, I guess I'll go first on this one because I wanted to put Frozen as my most underrated movie because of how many people hate Frozen for how popular it was. But I didn't. So I'll say mine when it comes back to me. David, what's your most underrated Disney movie?
Gonna leave us in
my most-
suspense.
I kind of want to actually hear Joey's.
All right.
yeah, it sounds nice.
Brother Bear. I think Brother Bear gets hated on way too much.
Oh.
That's a beautiful
I
movie.
love Brother
Fantastic
Bear.
soundtrack.
I was about to say, I wonder how many early 2000s movies are going to make their way into the most underrated column here.
And I also put Emperor's New Groove, another early 2000s movie. Emperor's New Groove
Yeah.
is nowhere to be seen anywhere, and it's a phenomenal film. And it has
Yeah.
one of the most lovable sidekick characters ever with Kronk. And there's nothing Kronk anywhere.
Except
He's
for
got
shoulder
the
pals.
yeah. He's got
finally,
the shoulder
those are
devil and
amazing.
angel now.
So that's mine.
That's a good.
Interesting.
David.
My most underrated. I'm going to keep the early 2000s thing going here. Dinosaur.
Ooh.
As a kid, I was super into dinosaurs to a fault. Into dinosaurs. So the fact that Disney made a movie about them, I was like, sold. And even at this point, I think it was, even though it wasn't like well received, I feel like by audiences, I loved the attempt that Disney at least made for the realistic backdrops with the CGI dinosaurs. I thought for the time that was very well done.
Fun fact.
I like it.
If I have ever seen it, I don't remember a second of it. So I'm going to say I have never seen Dinosaur. And I am not looking forward to
We're
it.
gonna
If
fix
I'm
it.
going to be honest.
We're gonna fix that.
Gavin.
I had two. This was the one that I couldn't decide on one. But New Groove was on there. It's one of my favorites, and it's sad that there's not a lot it's not talked about enough. But the other one is Raya. I feel like it doesn't get enough love. That movie was phenomenal. I feel like there should be a portion of Fantasyland that is specifically for Raya. Like I love that film. And I feel like no one talks about it anymore. And it makes me sad.
I thought Raya got unfairly criticized against until I heard someone point something out, and I was like, that's fair. Now I don't like it as much anymore. So we'll talk about that when a year and a half when we discussed that
I was
movie.
about to say.
Hannah.
I'm gonna go with Mulan, just because I love her and I want to see more of her because I think she's amazing. If I had to tack another one on, I'd also say Pocahontas. So I'd love to see more of that, just because I love those movies.
Yeah. Mulan is definitely up there.
I
Like, why
love
is
it
she
so
nowhere
much.
to be seen in the parks other than a single meet and greet?
Exactly.
I feel like Mulan at the very least gets like some soundtrack love,
Yeah.
Right?
But it's not
but
even
like
her song.
Pocahontas, I feel like does not get nearly as much hype as it should.
Thank you.
That's the only
everyone's
Disney
go-to,
princess that I would wait in line for.
everyone's
Yes.
go-to song from Mulan is "I'll Make a Man Out of You," so it's not even her song. So she needs more love. Good pick, Hannah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
That leaves Jenny.
So my first one is The Rescuers. I've always loved that movie, but it's never talked about. It has no representation anywhere. Like, it's very rare that you see any like merch for it. But I loved that movie as a kid and even now. And then one that's not on our list to watch, but Gavin mentioned earlier, is a Goofy movie. I have always been obsessed with that movie as well. And while it has started to have like some representation, it's not near enough that is deserved.
Yeah.
But I am happy that it is being brought back, and you're able, there's Powerline Max is in the park sometimes, so I am happy about that. But I still think that there should be more.
Yeah. A year
Is
ago.
that a Powerline bag behind you?
It sure is.
Yeah, there it is.
I got Powerline behind me. Where is he? I got Powerline
Shout
right
Get out.
there.
Shout out to Megan's Mini Shop. Made these ears
Uh-huh.
and match my Loungefly.
There you go. I love it.
So yeah, a
So-
year ago I would agree with you, but it has had a resurgence in 2024. So I think it's getting, other than not being in the parks, I think it is getting a lot of love that it finally deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about representation in the parks. I think every movie should be somewhere in the parks. Like, for there to not be a single reference of The Rescuers, even though it's the first Disney movie to get an official sequel. It's one of only 5 that has an official sequel, and it's nowhere to be found. What is that?
Right.
And there's so many of the Disney Renaissance movies, which is Disney's bread and butter. And so
Like, I
many
think
of them are
Bernard
nowhere
and Miss
in the
Bianca,
parks.
like Bernard and Miss Bianca are like couple goals. Like, I love them. And they're nowhere.
Yeah, but like Pocahontas is just a meet and greet in Animal Kingdom. Lion King only has the show. Mulan is only a meet and greet. Hunchback's nowhere. Tarzan.
I think the only thing
nowhere.
Hunchback might have is a little blurb in Happily Ever After.
Yeah, one of the best parts of Happily Ever After.
Well, arguably the best.
Tarzan just has Turk every once in a while. What other ones am I missing?
There's so many that have
Raya's
nothing.
got 0.
Well, yes, I was talking about the Disney Renaissance, because the Disney Renaissance is
Oh.
what made so many people huge Disney people because of how big that era
True.
was. And there's just nothing. Hercules, there's nothing for Hercules.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the Disney Renaissance, if you're looking for a nice retro trip, anything Disney World in the 90s. Mulan was everywhere. Hercules was everywhere. Hunchback of Notre Dame was everywhere. Like, you look up any picture of Disney World in the 1990s and you're going to see Disney Renaissance representation in those parks. But there came a point in the early 2000s where they just kind of fizzled all of it out.
Like, how is Genie not a meet and greet character?
That would be amazing.
He is a
That
Disneyland.
would be amazing.
That is a good
He
point.
is in
And he gives you
Disneyland.
We are all Disney Worlders here.
Yeah.
He gives you the Spanish safety instructions on Magic Carpets of Aladdin.
That's amazing.
There's something subtle.
I am in the. I
It's
think
there. It's not a lot.
I think I'm in the minority where I think we just need more IP in the parks. So just slap IP on everything. Make Test Track Genie's Racers or something.
See, I think it would be fun just to have like little subtle nods. If you don't want to include a character meet and greet, or you don't want to include like a ride or a themed restaurant or something like that, you have just little subtle things around the park, a little statue here, or a, find whatever here, and a plaque dedicating, a fence
Yeah.
to, just something that it all kind of ties in
Well, that's like
to the different properties.
the many adventures of not many adventures. The adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Ichabod Crane is in the window in Liberty Square, and that's a
Right.
terrible movie.
Yeah.
So
Well,
how do we
easy.
not have anything for? How do we not have anything for Hercules? It's just crazy to be in charge of Disney. But
That's
to
a
move
different
on,
podcast.
we will go to overrated Disney character. David, who do you think is an overrated Disney character?
I'm going
gonna
to stay in the
say
same
Elsa,
lane
actually.
as my overrated movie, and for the same reason that he was always there. His little snowy face was always there, but Olaf.
Oh man,
I couldn't. You couldn't walk into a gift shop. Nothing. He was everywhere.
we were all expecting Elsa, and then you throw out Olaf.
No. And here's the thing. In the second movie, love Olaf. Funniest character in the whole movie. And Josh Gad is phenomenal. His Candlelight Processional is outstanding. But the snowman was everywhere back in the day.
That's amazing.
We're all gearing up for you to get the low hanging fruit and talk about Elsa, and then you drop Olaf on us.
Your fault.
Was not expecting that.
That's wild. Gavin, what about you?
He's like, Sven. I hate Sven. Um,
Never let them know your first move.
my overrated character, Ariel. I'm sorry, Jenny. I'm sorry.
I'm with
no.
My
you.
overrated character is Ariel, and let me explain why.
Okay,
So-
I'm listening.
The only character development we get before she loses her voice is that she wants to be where the humans are, right? She wants legs, she wants to walk around. There's zero build, there's zero emotional connection, there's zero, like, she literally leaves her friends, leaves her family, goes to shore, and doesn't talk the rest of the movie. And then falls in love with the prince and just pieces out. Like, it's just, to me, I'm sitting there going, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Mine's worse. I don't like Ariel because I don't like.
I'm
Jodie
I'm
Benson's
sorry.
voice.
I'm sorry. I see everybody's faces, but it's just for me. It's that I'm like I get it. You have a fascination about something and you have a love for something that's amazing, and I get the point, right? But literally, you just were like, "Yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice everything to be on the shore," and it's just like, wow, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
You know what? I respect everyone's opinion here. It's okay if they're wrong though.
You don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah.
We listen, we don't judge.
Oh, brother.
I don't like Ariel either, but it's simply because
You know,
I think
But I'm getting out of here.
I think Jodie Benson's voice is not good for a 15-year-old girl, 16-year-old girl. I think her voice is way too mature for the age she's playing. Which I love her in Little Mermaid too, because she's playing in.
But you're not
older-
hating on Jodie Benson. Just the fact that it was a too mature voice
The
for
wrong
her.
She's a
casting.
fantastic voice. She's a fantastic singer, but
Because I love Jodie Benson.
I just don't think her voice matched the character. But my wife.
To
tells
be
me I'm
fair, I
wrong
don't
all
think
the
there would
time.
have been any voice. I don't think there would have been any voice that would make Ariel more tolerable.
So you're bordering in Snow White territory if you go much. But we'll
Snow
get to
has
that.
a similar problem.
Let me be clear though. I do enjoy the movie because of everything else.
Right.
It's just her character and her character development I struggle connecting with and seeing the point of.
I feel you. Hannah, what do you say?
So I'm gonna go with what I said for my overrated movie, which was Frozen. So I'm gonna go for this one
Kristoff.
with Elsa.
The
Okay.
trolls.
Just because going hand in hand with what I said earlier, I would like to see Pocahontas. I would like to see Mulan, and we see so much of Elsa. And my other ladies represented too, So that's where I'm at.
All right, Jenny, get some payback.
She's
So
like, Goofy. Goofy sucks.
Max and Powerline suck.
I don't know how anyone in this group feels about this character, but I know there's going to be listeners that are going to be in their feelings about mine. But I'm going to say Stitch. And
Oh.
my reasoning is specifically because of merch. Because it's like they can't create a new merch line without including Stitch on it.
Fair.
He's everywhere, on
mean,
everything, part of every
agree.
collection.
They ain't
Just
doing it just to
everywhere.
do it. It's selling out.
Right. Like, I mean, I know they're doing it because it sells, but it's with all these other characters and movies that are not represented at all. And then you have Stitch that is on everything. You can't look anywhere in the world of Disney without seeing his face.
What
And
would Sting to
so-
that, Jenny? I see.
I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. I love Lilo and Stitch. Like, I think the movie itself is great. So I'm not hating on the movie. It's just the character himself is overrated because there's just so much of him.
Well, and I'm wondering honestly. You mentioned how many viewers were going to be like, "Hey, whoa!" with the Stitch hate. I'm wondering how many people actually agree with you, because does anybody else remember that one time they opened up a Stitch show and TP'd Cinderella Castle to promote the opening?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was, I feel like that was right around when people were like, maybe he's not the best Disney character that ever walked the planet. Like, you can only get burped in the face by Stitch and see Cinderella Castle covered in toilet paper so many times before you're like, he's okay.
Yeah. So with mine, I do want to give an honorable mention. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just to say, Jenny, kind of, you had the same mentality as I did. It's the character, not necessarily the movie.
Right. Yeah. So
Just to take the heat. This is the segment where people have logged off. Like, they're like, we're done.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Between
But
Olaf, Stitch, people are done.
Yeah, we had some
Not
heavy
gonna
hitters in that last one.
So mine,
No one
I'm
was
going to
safe.
give a honorable mention to Elsa, even though I think Frozen gets a lot of hate. I hate Elsa. She's very whiny to me. But Alice is my most overrated Disney character. I don't understand the love that Alice in Wonderland gets.
Can we just talk about how you said Elsa's white?
She's very whiny. That's all she does is whine throughout both movies.
Just got straight to the point. Just like, yeah, no.
Both movies is just her whining.
See, I think that's Anna.
The second one, she whines a lot. I gotta give you that.
Yeah. Like,
she's
I just want people in the castle. I just want to marry this man. I just want to.
do. Yeah, I feel you.
But as an introvert, Elsa being like, I'm just gonna go live in the woods. Leave me alone. Like, okay.
I'm so confused because I'll explain it when we get to it. But most underrated character, David, go ahead.
This was another one that I actually had a hard time remembering what I said in the Beyond the Castle podcast, and then I was like, oh wow, yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. But Roger Rabbit, as represented on a bag on my wall. But Roger Rabbit to me is a super underrated character. No one talks about his movie or any of the little cartoon character, like the cartoon shorts that he was in. Just a genuinely funny character.
I do love that bag, by the way.
Thank you. That was 1000% just like, hey, I want a Roger Rabbit bag for Christmas, and she just kind of did it.
Fun fact about me, I cannot stand that movie. So...
Everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion.
I've never seen it.
Gavin's got his take on Ariel, and it's
All right, Gavin, what's yours?
Quasimodo.
good one.
Quasimodo is the most underrated character, in my opinion. To me, he is the most relatable, real, really faces real life, real world challenges in being different, having to face that, falling in love, getting rejected, having to face that. Like eh, growing up in a toxic environment, and having to come to the realization of that he has the most real world uh, things that he has to work through, character development that he has to reach, and they do a really, really great job of building that story. And they do a really, really great job of making that really emotional. And we talked about earlier when we talked about Inside Out, you connect to him as a character. Um, and not to talk about it again, but I think part of the reason why Wicked is doing so well is because a lot of people see the struggles that Elphaba goes through. I think that Quasimodo went through a lot of the same struggles, and it was not recognized as it should have been at the time. So I'm going to say Quasimodo.
It's also one of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah.
Hannah.
No shock here. Mulan. I'm keeping it consistent. I literally think she's amazing. She did everything on her own, and I think she needs to be recognized just a tad more. Consistent.
Jenny.
So mine is actually Quasimodo too.
Yes, we agree on it.
Common ground. There we go.
We're making up for the last little bit here.
I know. So I literally have that written down. I thought I was going to be the only one that said that. But my reasonings literally match exactly what Gavin said as well. I felt that it was just very relatable. It wasn't like you just made a wish and everything came true. There were actually so many struggles and things to overcome, and it was just one thing after another, and just that toxic environment. And I mean, he just persevered over and over and over.
Yeah.
And so again, there's no representation, and I just thought that it was so fantastic. So Quasimodo was an easy pick for me.
And I think that like the one criticism you hear about Disney films online from people that aren't Disney lovers, that don't go into the lore and think about how deep it actually is. The one thing you constantly hear is it's the same story over and over and over again. People meet, they get their heart broken, they fall in love, then they end up getting back together and everything's great, right? Like they follows the same kind of story. That's one of the movies that does not. That is one of the movies that is like, here, let's throw the real world at you. Here's what it's like to be an adult. Deal with it. And people didn't react back then the way I think that they will react when the live action comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's going to be a very heavy, very difficult movie, but I think it's going to be one of the most beautiful and most well done because it's going to be so 2025. Everybody talks about the violence between 2019 and now, and I think that it's going to encapsulate that, and they're doing it just at the right time. But I just don't see how that movie and that character specifically don't get more love.
I was confused as to why I wrote down David, and I was like, okay. But then I remembered it's David from Lilo and Stitch.
That makes more sense.
Love David from Lilo and Stitch.
I love that.
I was like, man, we haven't had enough episodes to be talking about the most underrated of the five of us here.
So
you're like, I'm okay, but like,
yeah, he never questions why Nani doesn't have time for him. He just rolls with it, and he's always there when they need him. And he helps Stitch, even though he knows He knows nothing. He does so well with Lilo. He's just such a great dude. And I recently found out something that kind of puts Nani up there too, so that's cool. But I also wanted to give a shout out to Pacha from Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
That's a good
I can get on
one.
board with that.
Yep.
Pacha's whole family.
His wife.
Really, yeah.
His wife too. Yeah.
Yep.
Change the name of the podcast, Pacha Fan Club.
God.
The podcast for Cusco. The podcast chosen specifically for Cusco's
That's
podcast.
amazing.
Yeah.
Doesn't roll off the tongue as easily.
So that's everything that I have. Was there anything anyone wanted to mention about the podcast or about the journey or anything before we sign off?
I'm just so excited, and I love you guys. You guys are amazing, and I'm so excited to be doing this with all of you guys.
Look at these guys trying to send hearts. I can't do that. It wasn't working for me.
Mine doesn't always work either. I think it just likes what it likes.
Jenny! Emma! 4 of us have had it happen now.
Thanks, guys.
Come on, Gavin. We believe in you.
So yeah, this is the introduction, the Meet the Cast, the first episode 0. So episode 1 will be coming out next week. Every Monday, I think, is what we decided on in releasing the episodes. So a week from today, when you're hearing this, is going to be the first episode on Snow White. And then a week from that is going to be, what is next? Pinocchio. And then a week from that is, I don't even know, Fantasia or Dumbo, something like that. Or Bambi, I don't know. It's one of them.
Gotta look at the list.
Yeah, it's there. But every week, another Disney animated movie. More laughs. More hot takes.
More hot takes. More hot takes.
Especially
Lousy.
the first couple movies. I am not going to be...
I said this in the beginning when we all first started talking. I'm going to quickly get the reputation of being a hater. And I started it off with my Ariel take.
Serving hot takes like hot.
me. You go, Jenny.
I was just saying, serving hot takes like hot cakes.
Gonna happen. I will say, I think that from the practice episode we did, from the chemistry you could tell that we have here, we all bring something different to the table. We all bring different knowledge, different perspectives, different personalities, and it really, really meshes well. So to the listener, yes, we'll be watching or rewatching and evaluating and critiquing and getting into the lore of all these movies, but really it's just it's valuable information. It's fun. It's exciting. It's a good conversation. It doesn't feel like a rewatch podcast. It's very fun to do, and you'll just have to wait till next week to actually experience that.
Absolutely. I think that is it. You can follow the show everywhere, I believe, at Poison Apple Pod with dots in between each word. We're going to be on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. I think we're on Threads. I think David threw us up on Threads. I don't think
we are on Threads
yet. Who knows if we're going to. Definitely not on X. And Lemonade's probably going to get banned along with TikTok. So see what happens. Patreon might be coming. I don't know. Patreon's confusing. We'll see what happens there. But David, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
We are on TikTok, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook.
Nice.
And we also have our own website, so there's that too.
How are they supposed to find you, buddy?
For the website, www.mickeyandmandy.com, and spelled out all the way.
What about your handles?
I think it's, I remember if it's Mickey and Mandy or Mickey.and.Mandy.
I'll look it up for you while Gavin tells people where they can find him.
Preach.
Yeah, on TikTok at the Dapper Disney Dad. If that goes somewhere, I'm trying to establish Clapper because I've heard it's similar. It's kind of odd though. Um, my wife and I have kind of started a joint um, account at Paving New Roads, RHOADES. Um, that we kind of merge both of our um, content on, and that's her TikTok, and it's our Instagram.
Nice. And Mickey and Mandy's handle is Mickey.and.Mandy.
Sweet.
Hannah.
All my beautiful humans can find me on most all socials at Park Hopping Hannah.
Nice. Simple. Jenny.
Hannah's going to get
be
the reputation
interesting.
of being consistent. All of her takes tonight, her social media handles, it's all just consistent. It's lovely.
Well, Hannah's is simple. Mine is not as simple. Mine is Jenny from the talk, but with an underscore under each, like in between each word and one after. And then on Instagram is Bippity Boppity Bags. So
Ooh.
if you need help with the spelling, just look at the
It'll be in
Bippity
show
Boppity.
notes somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You can find them here.
I did not get the inside joke of your name till way later. And when I told my wife, I was like, look at how amazing this name is. And she was like, I know. When you told me what her name was the first time you brought her up, I got that. And I was like, yeah, okay. I didn't.
I said from the very first time you jumped in one of my lives, like, that is the best name I've ever seen.
You did. I remember that.
Jenny from the Talk is what I'm talking about. Bippity Boppity Bags, pretty self-explanatory. I got that one.
I mean, that's a close second too.
I am at People Call Me Joey with underscores in between each word everywhere. Pretty sure. Don't think I'm any under anything else anywhere else. And I'm a travel agent. Should have mentioned that at the beginning. So if you want to go somewhere, let me know. Somewhere. Just DM me, I guess. But one thing I did want to mention, Hannah is not a movie person. So every episode we are going to guess if she had seen the movie before watching it for the podcast. It's going to be interesting to see how many she actually had. She's saying no. And I want to do I want to do a cry watch, because as I have become a dad, I cry at everything now. So I want to keep track of which movies are making me cry, which it seems like David and Gavin are also big Disney movie criers. Hannah, I think you mentioned you cry at Tarzan, so
I think that would just be a fun segment just in general.
So
I cry all the time.
So we'll have a cry watch for all of us. A cry counter.
Asking, like, how many times? Are we asking if we cried during the movie, or like how many times per the movie?
Well, I don't foresee me crying multiple times per movie.
My emotions tend to build up until like that one moment, and then it's just a flood.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to do it for our very first Meet the Cast episode, Meet the Show, whatever we want to call it. It was a fun one. We kept it kind of short. An hour's not too bad. An hour and 4 minutes, not too bad. And I don't know how much of that was just rambling, so it could be under an hour. So good job, us.
We're excited.
I can't wait.
And that's
super excited.
Like I said, make sure you come back next week to watch us tear apart Snow White. Hopefully someone says some nice things about it. And that is the show.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't have a good call out yet. I used to say happily ever animated, but I don't know if that fits this show, so we'll figure something out.
We'll see you real soon.
That's it. I was going to say, what do you say after all your videos? We'll see you real soon. Well, that's what Mickey Mouse says. Or is that what Walt said? Someone said it in Disney. They say it all.
I know Mickey says it during the Kiss Goodnight at the, I think at Magic Kingdom. It's so long, everybody. See you real soon.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And really at the end of this, see you real soon.
That's right. He does say during Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. You're right.
That's what we'll say. We'll see you real soon. Don't accept apples from strange women in the woods.
In the shadows we gather where tales are spun. With the Poison Apple podcast and magic's begun. Friends watching movies, critiquing every lore. Grab some popcorn, join us and explore. Just one bite, you want more. Beware our tales are rotten to the core. Mystery and magic knocking at your door. With the Poison Apple podcast, there's so much in store.